Hello, and welcome to UX Design Drawing Flowcharts in Pen and Paper How-To Tutorial. The supplies you need for this exercise are pen, Sharpie, and some paper. Bigger is better, so keep that in mind. First of all, let's review the scenario in case you've forgotten. The app that I am doing a drawing for is called Made with Love, and it's for pet food recipes so that they can be exchanged. That will require a login page, a recipe input page, a finish recipe page, a search recipe page, a list of recipes page, recipes by species, and by ingredients that you can be looked up. So let's talk about the method. Paper and pen method is probably the least expensive of all things that you're going to create. Why? Because you just need some paper and a pen. Pretty simple. It can be done anywhere you have paper and pen. So in a cafe, on a subway, during a meeting as you guys are brainstorming with the team. And it allows you to quickly move ideas to paper and from paper to, say, the programming team. There are some disadvantages, unfortunately. First of all, if you mess up, you have to start again. Otherwise, your paper is covered with scribbles and markouts. It has no spell check. Sometimes the paper size you are working on is just too small, and sometimes the diagram becomes so difficult to decipher, it's really not worth doing. Or at least it's time to rewrite it. So what's the first step? One, figure out what you need for the app. What is the first screen? What device you'll be designing for? That will and what layout? Is it horizontal or vertical? Because that will change your box sizes. If the paper is small, make sure that you can read your scribbles after you've written them. So for me, the Sharpie was too clunky, which meant that I had to add another black pen so I could actually read what I was writing. And then you pick your starting point. Traditionally, you start by drawing whatever it is that you're drawing at the upper left-hand corner. And you draw the first screen there. And here's my equipment for this presentation. I've got a Sharpie, a black pen, and a piece of paper. Okay, let's start drawing. I start by creating a rectangle roughly the shape of the first screen. Mine's thin and tall because I'm thinking about it being a phone app. Then I write a description of what is going to appear on that screen in the thinner pen. Once again, so you can see. I'm working with a standard 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of printer paper and a Sharpie and a black pen. Very inexpensive to get. The next step is to continue drawing. Once you have that first screen, you add a login screen if that's necessary. For some apps, that would just go to the home page if you don't want people to log in. Because this app would track recipes and share them with other people, a username or a Facebook login is necessary. I also add a create new link and a login button, which once pressed, once you log in, takes you to the home page. I decided the home page should have a recipe of the day on it, and it also has a drop-down menu. Notice that I create the icon for the drop-down menu by drawing 3 parallel lines and labeling it drop-down menu. This gives you an idea that there's more. On the side, I take a note and I write out what would be in the drop-down menu. Kind of give you an expanded view. Notice that I use 2-headed arrows to indicate you can move back and forth between the screens, whereas a single-headed arrow shows that you can only move in one direction, such as from the loading page to the login page, because it's a one-way flow. Whereas the home page, you can always log out by using the menu, and it would bring you back to the login page. Once you have that done, you can start expanding on the information. Okay, so I've gotten the home page and I started to work on the create new recipe page. You'll notice that each option, or I should say, each option on the menu should have its own screen. Also, I indicate the type of information that would be collected or displayed within a screen. It's not laid out, it's not pretty, it's just a list. For this one, it would ask someone to create a new recipe, give you the species that we're creating the recipe for, the type of recipe, so like snack, main meal, and the title, followed by the ingredients, instructions, and space to upload the photo. Once I have that, I have to add a little bit of a flow to add the photo, right? That would take you to a separate screen. So I've got a Get Photo screen that lets you choose from a library or from your camera and take a live picture. Then I start adding the finished recipe page, because theoretically, once you upload the picture, you can hit the publish button and a recipe would show up here. That's awesome. To finish up, I add a search page to find a recipe, and then I create a list at the bottom that would show you the information that you were looking for. Once you have finished the layout, it's a good idea to talk your client or team through what you were thinking. Most likely you've missed some things and you need to add some more information to it, and it's easy to get lost sometimes between all the arrows. But that's a different tutorial. So if you would like to attempt this approach for the assignment, feel free to do so. If you didn't like this, there are several more ways to go, and feel free to look them up.